Jesse.
Now here is the question. On safely enjoying water activities, listen carefully and guess the right answer.
Okay.
From the following water safety measures, guess which one is correct. Number 1, always warm up before swimming or going in the water. Number 2, enter the water slowly and wear a life jacket. Number 3, never go beyond the designated swimming area. Number 4, call 119 or a lifeguard on duty if you witness drowning.
뭐지? 1번도 맞고 2번도 맞는 것 같은데.
Time is running out.
The answer is all of the above.
That is correct. All of these options are important in order to safely enjoy water activities.
If you keep them in mind, you're bound to have a great and safe summer.
Stay with BEFM this summer for a responsible beach season.
김밥 가게 박 사장님도 문구점 김 사장님도 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 7 o'clock.
Wavers, were you surprised by the rain yesterday? I'll be honest, I was too. I remember on Friday, I relayed the weather news to you saying, oh, we're going to have clear skies, a typical hot weekend for Saturday and yesterday. Well, the good news is this. I think it was a reprieve from all the heat that we have been experiencing, and I'm sure it was really welcome news for produce and cattle farmers who have been battling the extreme heat for the past several weeks. However, with rain comes an increase in the number of accidents and, of course, congestion on the road. So let's be extra careful as we kick off another week. I'm Catherine. This is Morning Wave in Busan on Monday, July 14th on BEFM, 부산 영어 방송. Good morning, Wavers. I hope you're all doing well. And for those of you who are heading out early, letting you know ahead of time that because of the inclement weather, you might have to leave a little early today because there is a lot of congestion. There are accidents. I'll get to that in a little bit in our traffic and weather. In the meantime, let's talk about all the shuns in a world. TION, inflation. We talked about lunchflation, shrinkflation, and in this weather, we are being hit with heatflation. So what is this? You can probably guess from the name, but with the short, rainy season and this prolonged heat wave we've been experiencing, summer fruits and vegetables are literally drying up. And with that, prices go up. According to the Korea Agro-Fisheries and Food Trade Corporation, as of the end of last week, the average retail price of one watermelon was 29,000 won. 수박 하나에 29,000원이요. That's up 22% compared to the beginning of July and an almost 40% increase compared to last month. We know from basic economics that price increases are caused by low supply and high demand, and the weather is to blame for both of these factors. In South Korea, Gangwon and Chungcheong are the two main watermelon producers by region, but these areas saw a lot of rain last month, stunting the growth of watermelons because they didn't get enough sunlight. On top of that, this ongoing heat wave has created a spike in demand for watermelons. I mean, when you think of summer, that's like one of the fruits that we think of. Other summer fruits are also seeing similar trends. Peaches are going for an average of 2,300 won per fruit. 복숭아 한 개에 2,300원. And then 1 kilogram of tomatoes going for 4,600 won. we're also seeing prices go up for Napa or Asian cabbage. 우리 배추, 김치 쓰는 그 배추예요. One head exceeding 4,000 won. So one industry official says that the heat wave is definitely affecting the price of fruits and vegetables. And if the heat wave continues, it will affect the crops on the trees or whatever's on the ground right now, likely to result in reduced quality and or quantity. So it's the same cycle every summer that we have seen in the last few years with abnormal weather creating these high prices. But unfortunately, in this era of climate change, this abnormality, it may be the new normal. Are we going to have to get used to this? I certainly hope not. And now, text topic time. So, we often talk about food-related text topics because we're all foodies here. How often do you eat out per week? What's your go-to menu, cuisine, or restaurant for eating out with family? 나는 일주일에 외식 몇 번쯤 한다. Plus, 자주 먹는 가족 외식 메뉴는? Ooh, I want to hear all about it. So send in your thoughts, your responses to BFM's live stream live chat on YouTube. Go to the YouTube platform and type in BEFM or 부산 영어 방송 to find our channel. You can subscribe, log in and chat with our other waivers from your phone. Pound 9050 샵 9050. That's going to cost you 100 won. You can also reach me for free through Kakao Talk. And the good thing about this, you can send in messages, you can send in photos as well. You got to search for, obviously, BEFM or 부산 영어 방송 as well to add us as a friend first. And you can listen to our program, tune in so many different ways. On the radio here in Busan, 90.5 or 103.3 FM. And that's once again, if you're in the Busan area. And you can tune in to our live stream right now on YouTube. You can watch again at your leisure. We have the BEFM app. That's our own app. Or we're also available on the Popbang app. So check those two apps out. It's Monday. Let's look at the lineup for today. Michael is coming in for Cultural Interlude. That's in hour number 1. Claire is coming in for News in Depth. For our special interview today, we're going to be talking about the whole issue of self-defense, the costs of having self-defense here in South Korea. So you have probably heard about U.S. President Donald Trump signaling the whole issue of raising the costs of stationing the 28,500 troops, American troops here in Korea. So whether it's that or even handing over the transfer of operations, that's a whole issue as well. We're going to find out with Professor Robert Kelly in hour number 2. And I'll be back with news overview. It's now 7:06 and this is News Overview. Special counsel summons ex-President Yoon for questioning today. The special counsel led by Cho Eun-seok said that it has summoned former President Yoon Suk-yeol to appear for questioning today after he didn't appear for a session last Friday, adding it may consider bringing him in by force if he fails to comply. President Lee Jae-myung appoints 5 vice ministers and special envoys. President Lee Jae-myung yesterday appointed 5 vice ministers, 7 vice minister level officials, and 4 special envoys to the European Union, France, the UK, India, who will carry the president's letters and convey the new administration's policies to the respective entities. North Korea reaffirms support for Russia in war against Ukraine. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reaffirmed his unconditional support for Russia in the Ukraine war during his meeting with the Russian foreign minister, as the country is continuing to provide ammunition to Russia. Ulsan's petroglyphs in North Korea's Mount Kumgang receives UNESCO designation. The prehistoric rock carvings or petroglyphs in Ulsan have been officially put on the UNESCO World Heritage List, along with North Korea's famous Mount Kumgang during the 47th World Heritage Committee meeting in Paris over the weekend. Gaza officials say children killed as Israeli military admits error. 10 people, including 6 children, were killed in an Israel airstrike while waiting for water in Gaza, according to local officials, with Israel admitting a technical error with the strike. And this was News Overview. It's time to check in with Sejin for now in Busan. Let's say hi to her first. Good morning.
Good morning. How was your weekend?
Oh, pretty good. What about you?
I went shopping a little bit.
Oh, you did? Is it okay to ask what you bought or what you were shopping for?
Yeah, I bought the perfume.
Ooh.
And I wear it today.
Uh-huh.
And I got a little mini bag that I've been always wanting to get.
Ooh, nice. Did you go by yourself or did you go with friends or family?
With my mom's card. But though I have to say, because it's a graduation gift, so it's valid.
Yes, well warranted. Well, our text topic today is about eating out. How often do you eat out, and what's your go-to menu? What do you go out for?
I eat out every single day, and my go-for food is Japanese food.
Ooh, not sandwiches.
Sandwich for lunch, but dinner always Japanese food.
Japanese food.
Yeah.
Is there a particular reason?
I like rice, and I like something with chicken. But Japanese food is simple yet kind of savory taste. So
that's what you go for.
less spicy as well.
Okay.
So,
All right.
What about you?
For me, we don't eat out as much as, I don't know. I would say, honestly, eating out, like going to a restaurant, maybe once a week, if that.
With family?
Yeah, and it's basically because my family members, they prefer like home-cooked meals. Yes, that's a 한숨 on a Monday morning at 7:10. 집밥을 너무 좋아해요. 아니, 너무 좋아해요.
It's because you're a good
yes.
cook?
I think they're just used to, my cooking. That might be it, but I don't know. What my favorite go-to menu is? Anything that I don't cook. 내가 하지 않으면 진짜 맛있어요.
My mom
like
is
meaning,
saying, yeah.
너무 싫어요. 7시 11분 안 듣고 있어요. 괜찮아요. I can say that. We're going to jump into now in Busan. So there has been another deadly apartment fire here in Busan. And, this is just a few days after we talked about the last one. And then there was one prior. So can you tell us about this?
Yes. Tragically, this time it happened in Bukgu district, where a mother in her 80s and her son in his 50s were killed in a fire. Were killed in the fire.
Yes.
The fire broke out around 12:20 p.m. on July 13th, yesterday.
Yeah, so this is really heartbreaking news. Do we know the cause of the fire?
The exact cause hasn't been determined yet, but so far authorities say it doesn't look like arson or a simple accident. The younger son was also in a flat. He was rescued from the balcony and is now being treated in a hospital. He told investigators that they were all asleep when the fire broke out, which is why their response was delayed.
I see.
Also, there was no air conditioning in the flat, so it's hard to say if power overload was to blame.
Right, but I have to say, it sounds eerily similar to the other recent apartment fires about, people being asleep and the fire breaking out.
Literally, just like the other recent cases, this building also had no sprinkler system. Sprinkler requirements are based on the building permit date. At the time, only buildings 16 stories or higher were required to have them, and this one has 15. So legally, back then, it wasn't required to have the sprinklers.
Yes. So weren't there the recent fires? I'm sure many people remember these stories. They involve children, though, right?
Yes, just on July 2nd and again on July 24th.
Yes.
2 young sisters died in separate apartment fires.
Right.
Both buildings lacked sprinklers and both were traced back to power strips, multi-outlet adapters.
Yes. So what is the city doing about all of this?
Busan City has been conducting a full investigation into older apartments that don't have sprinklers and planning measures.
Yes.
Experts are saying that the older the building, the higher the fire risk. But he said although reconstructing sprinklers may be unrealistic, thorough and immediate electrical safety checks are a must.
Yes. And so going back to those two tragic fires, there were two separate sets of sisters. So first being June 24th and on July 2nd once again. And then now this recent fire with the adults. So thank you for going over all the fire-related stories. So now let's talk about another fire. So the construction site in Busan where the fire happened out in Kijang. What's the latest on that?
So remember the 반얀트리 Hyundai site, the
Yes.
one where 6 workers tragically died back in February. And later investigations found serious lapse in safety management.
Yes, and this was really major news, tragic for our city. So what's the latest?
They've started a structural safety check this month. The fire-damaged parts have already been torn down as prep for the inspection.
Does that mean that construction might pick up again?
Yeah, tearing down was the first step before they could inspect the structure. Whether work can resume depends on the result.
And who's handling the project now? Because I know there was some confusion.
Yeah, the developers brought in new contractor. They've named a preferred buyer and are working out the schedule.
So when might things get kind of going again? Because many people were kind of looking forward to this, resort in our local area.
In a notice to members, they said they're planning on-site inspections in August to figure out how long it will take. And they're also coordinating with 반얀트리 operation team to prep for the opening.
Yes.
And by the way, the developer is undergoing trial for bribery charges.
And what about the labor office? Are they still involved?
Yeah, they issued a stop work order that same day, and ever since then have been overseeing the site.
Okay, well, thanks for the update on this fire as well. Well, next up, I hear that there's a brand new police station opening up in Suyeong soon.
You got it. Busan's getting its 16th police station. The Suyeong police station is officially opening on August 5th.
So that's in Suyeonggu district. That means that's home to Gwangalli Beach and a very busy neighborhood.
That's the one. Up until now, Suyeong haven't got its own dedicated police station. People often weren't sure which station to report to. And the district office had to coordinate with 2 police stations for anything safe-related. But now that jurisdiction and local boundaries are aligned, it can make things clear on residents and help improve public safety.
So where's the new station going to be stationed?
It's near Suyeong Historic Park. Construction started in May 2023 and wrapped up just last month. It's a 7-story building, and the station will have 421 officers across 8 departments.
So it does sound like a pretty major upgrade for this area.
Definitely. The city says aligning the boundaries will make things easier for everyone.
All right. That's news once again regarding the new Suyeong police station. And next, let's talk about this. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in the Northport area, right?
Yeah, there's 12-day festival taking place right in the Northport redevelopment zone called Busan SUP Festa.
Okay, so when is this all going on?
It's kicking off on July 26 and runs for 12 days. The city teamed up with the Junggu Donggu district and even the Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries to organize it.
Yes, so what kind of stuff or events are we talking about?
You can try stand-up paddleboarding up to 300 people per day. It runs from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., so you'll get to paddle and enjoy the night city lights and at the same time.
Right, so it sounds amazing for those of you who haven't tried. SUP stand-up paddleboard is an amazing experience, but what about for the kids?
They've got the cover too. Junggu district is setting up the outdoor splash zone in the park near the Marine Culture District.
Okay.
It will run from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and it has water slides and toddler pool.
So what about in August?
From August 1st to 3rd, Donggu District's holding a water laser festival. You might want to check out LED lit kayaks and water bikes to try out.
Nice. So is there more?
And there's more. The Ministry of Oceans and Fisheries putting out busing session. There'll also be meditation and music concert, an outdoor cinema event at Pier 1 by the Busan Cinema Center, and sunset yoga at the waterfront park from the Busan Facilities Corporation.
Yes. So, with Busan, it's basically the whole vibes of the water. So basically, come play by the water, right?
It is. And don't forget, there's even a water bomb event on the 27th.
Yes.
It's going to be packed.
Indeed. All right. Next, I hear that something really really unusual happened near Busan's coastline. I mean, regarding a whale, like a 고래, right?
Yeah. A young sperm whale showed up in the shallow water near Daebyun Port in Kishang yesterday morning.
And the thing is, when we think of usually sperm whales, they're found like deep in the ocean. So what happened?
These whales usually stay out in deep tropical water, as you said, so it's super rare to see one this close to shore.
Yes, so can we get the details?
Around 5 a.m., someone fishing spotted the whale and thought it might be stuck on the rocks. The Ulsan Coast Guard went out, but the whale swam away. Then about 2 hours later, boom, it popped up again near the same spot.
So is it okay, and do we know if there's any help for this whale?
Experts from the National Institute of Fishery Science and staff from the Busan Aquarium are on site now. As of yesterday, they are checking its condition and trying to guide it back into its deep water.
But I'm thinking this is a tricky operation, with boats and people around.
Definitely. The Coast Guard is also making sure no fishing boats get too close while they're helping it. Fingers crossed it finds its way back.
Absolutely. So hopefully we'll get an update to you. But thank you for all the local news. And of course, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Sajin.
See you tomorrow.
All right, now it's time for your traffic and weather.
Good morning.
Good morning.
굿모닝입니다.
Good morning.
좋은 아침입니다.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan.
Morning wave in Busan. Major news, local buzz, and expert takes. It's all here on Morning Wave in Busan. Brighten up your morning commute with Morning Wave in Busan. Morning Wave in Busan.
It's now 7:20. Here's your traffic report. There is an accident on the Dongseok overpass going into the city by Busan Metropolitan Corporation, Busan 도시공사. There was a 3-car crash earlier in the morning, compounding the backup, so avoid this area if you can. It's backed up on Gwanmundaero from Pangnam Tunnel to Baegang Tunnel. It's also congested from Manduk intersection to Namhae Expressway, the Kupo Nakdonggang Bridge. There's traffic on Leunho Samsungdaero from Byungho intersection to Shinho Bridge, and it's also slow on Gwangwon Bridge, that top portion going towards the Daejeon area. It's currently 21 degrees Celsius under cloudy skies here in Busan. It's expected to go up to 31 degrees with chances of rain in the afternoon. Across the nation, cloudy with heavy rain forecast for parts of Gangwon with thunder and lightning. Although the rain has cooled the temperatures down a little bit, after the rain stops, the heat will come back with added humidity. And this was your traffic and weather. It's time for Top Stories. We have Haley in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was good. I stayed home for the most part.
so unlike you.
I know. Seriously, it was painful.
Oh.
It was so painful.
Staying home.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I gotta let this out, but
the energy.
all of it out. But I had a little bit of a sty happening in my right eye, and
Is it better?
It
looks okay.
It's okay. It's fine. It's getting there. But apparently it takes like 2 weeks to heal.
Yes.
So it's like, well, I'm on like week and a half. So we'll see. I really wanted to go hiking to Ulsan, like to this place called Ganorje, but then I couldn't because I had enforce myself a stay-at-home weekend. So yeah, but then we went out a couple times still to eat because going back to our
tech topic.
Right, because my mom also used to be like, oh, home-cooked meals are the best. But then we're like, well, she can ride the subway for free, let's just say. She's in that
Don't
age.
out your mom.
I'm older. She's going to age too.
Yes.
So I was like, you can kind of retire from all the house cooking. So whenever there's a day where she hasn't cooked anything at home because we'll like put something together for brunch and then go out for a late lunch. She's always like, oh, I feel so guilty. I didn't do anything. But I'm like, why are you smiling?
Because she does not feel guilty.
Yeah.
She has earned it.
She has.
All right. So thanks for sharing. We're going to jump into our top story. This huge development in the ongoing doctors versus government conflict, right?
Right. And we had to do a double take. We're like, oh, all of a sudden.
Yes.
So on Saturday, the Korea Medical Student Association, KMSA, held a press conference and announced that the medical students will be going back to school. So they issued a joint statement with the Parliamentary Education Committee, the Health Ministry, and the Korea Medical Association, the KMA, saying that they will normalize education. Also, they said that the students will put their faith in the government and the parliament. So this comes a year and 5 months after they started to boycott classes over the medical school expanded quota.
Right.
Although we don't know yet exactly when they'll come back to school.
Yes, but that also means that the academic calendar may be thrown off.
Right, so that will be the detail the government, education ministry, and everybody else will need to figure out.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's already been thrown off by a year and 5 months. So the medical students said that they will be educated, quote, properly without skipping courses. They did ask the government to come up with a normalization of academic schedule. So far, 8,305 medical students have been held back. And because the medical school curricula, these are organized in full year-long courses.
Right.
Usually you can't just jump back in the middle of the year. So for some schools, these students will have to wait another 6 months and come back next March.
Okay.
So in order for some of the students to return to the second semester after summer ends, the government or universities will have to implement a more flexible scheduling.
Right. So that is one facet of the ongoing conflict, right? What about the trainee doctors?
Right, because we have two major facets. One, the medical students who have been boycotting classes, and the trainee doctors, interns, and residents who have left their respective hospitals.
Yes.
Another sign of potential change coming on this front, the Korean Interns and Residents Association, KIMA, their president, former president now, Park Dan, has stepped down as of last month.
Yes.
So he held a very gung-ho, hawkish position when it came to talking with the government. However, the new interim leader, Han Song-jun, is more focusing on dialogue. So we may see some changes here.
Yes.
In fact, KIMA reps are meeting with the Parliamentary Health Committee Chair Park Joo-min for talks later today. And also a leadership meeting scheduled for this coming Saturday. In terms of the government, Prime Minister Kim Min-seok, who has been leading the government's efforts on this front, he said that this decision is big progress and the, quote, push for 2,000 additions was too painful for everyone. So there might be some changes in the government's position as far as the medical school quota is concerned.
Okay.
We'll have to see. For the trainee doctors who have resigned, their chances to go back are significantly easier because they can return to work via the job openings that will be posted in the second half of the year. Those will be posted at the end of this month.
Right. And one of our listeners, 고수, said, 의대생 복귀 선언했지만 넘어야 할 산이 많던데요, because that's just, one facet of this ongoing saga. So we'll give you updates on that. And, we've been shedding light on groups that have it tough in this heat wave, and one such group is parcel delivery workers.
I mean, any delivery workers, whether it be parcel delivery, 택배기사님, or food delivery.
Sure.
But in the past week, 3 parcel delivery workers died in the span of just 5 days. So according to the National Union of Parcel Delivery Workers, first, a 43-year-old delivery supervisor in Incheon, he told his colleagues that he was taking a little break in his car. This was at about 8:30 in the morning. He was found not breathing by 11 a.m. A 51-year-old worker in Gangnam exhibited signs of vomiting right after he started his shift at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
He was taken to the hospital and didn't make it. Another 53-year-old parcel delivery worker in Gyeonggi was also found dead in his home. So it turns out that all 3 of them worked for the same delivery brand.
Oh, wow.
So the union said that there is, of course, not yet a clear causality between the deaths and their job, also the heat wave. The situation is definitely concerning because parcel delivery workers, they have the job of working in the warehouses, but they also work outdoors, often pushing those carts with all the boxes and packages. And they apparently walk about 20 to 30,000 steps per day. And add to that, there are buildings without elevators.
True.
And also standalone houses. I mean, if they can use those carts, it's apparently an easier job because if those houses are on steep hills, many of them are in Busan, they do have to hand deliver everything. Also, this also comes as major delivery companies have implemented 7 days a week delivery system. So that puts a further burden on their health.
So the big question is this. What are the companies doing about this?
So they are quickly coming up with measures. For example, CJ is going to mandate all work sites to implement a 10-minute break every hour or 20 minutes every 2 hours during the summer months. Also, they're going to give drivers autonomy or freedom to stop working when they need to. And this is important. Will not hold them responsible for delivery delays and will send the notice to customers.
Okay.
Also, Hanjin said that they're doing their best to refrain from pushing deliveries in the heat wave and to operate safely. It also added air conditioners to one of the mega hubs and will implement a 50-minute work and 10-minute off time schedule when temperatures go beyond 33 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
Coupang Logistics sent out emails to all the branches encouraging to let their workers take vacations. If the branches request it, the headquarters will send in their directly hired delivery workers on those requested days to fill in any personnel shortages. Also, they're using this incentive system. Whatever branch has the highest number of vacations used by the delivery drivers will get a reward, actually. By the way, the industry and the labor ministry previously declared August 14th as a day without deliveries, 택배 없는 날, back in 2020. Coupang did not partake in this because their position is that the drivers, who are usually freelancers, self-hired, can take the day off anytime they want.
Okay, but I just feel like, we always have these tragedies and then something comes up.
Yeah.
Why always hindsight? Well, these changes are coming specifically from now on. Heat breaks. I mean, before weren't they like recommended? Are they now mandatory?
They will be made mandatory. Okay. So when real field temperatures go to 33 degrees Celsius or up, laborers must take 20-minute breaks every 2 hours. Although I have to say, just on a personal note, when it is 33 degrees, 2 hours is an awfully long time. I'm just saying. Anyways, this, as you said, previously only a recommendation, so a lot of work sites didn't follow this. But from now on, they will be made mandatory.
Yes.
So this is because the Regulation Reform Committee, the 규제개혁위원회, passed the assessment on Friday. Actually, this has quite a bit of a storied journey because back in April and then again in May of this year, the committee actually basically opposed to this rule being mandatory. Back then, they recommended because essentially, the government had passed the rules making it mandatory. The regulation committee kind of took it back because they said it's such an overarching regulation and it could burden small businesses.
I see.
So back in spring, it kind of sided with the businesses.
Right.
However, after all this happened, all the deaths, I mean, we're not just talking about parcel delivery workers, construction sites and whatnot. The committee had reconvened and flipped its decision. Now, breaks will be made mandatory after the Labor Ministry officially announces the changes. That'll come sometime within this week.
Yes.
So those in the know say this kind of a reassessment of flipping the decision is actually quite rare. And it's also recommended that the Labor Ministry come up with measures to support small businesses so they won't be hurt by the decision.
Yes.
Also, the country's two major umbrella unions issued their respective statements after this decision, saying that it is regrettable that it took these deaths for the changes to be passed.
Exactly. All right. Well, it seems like, changes are coming. So that's, I guess, the silver lining. For our final story, let's get the latest on Trump's tariffs because we had some more announcements, right?
The letters are being fired off. And the newest recipients of Trump's tariffs are the European Union, the EU, and Mexico. Both 30%. each. So Trump on Friday local time, he sent the letter to the European European Commission's President Ursula von der Leyen, which said, quote, "We've had years to discuss our trading relationship between the EU and the US and have concluded that we must move away from these long-term, large and persistent trade deficits." That's been the key word, and which endangered by the EU's tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers, unquote. Yes. So if you remember, going back several months, the EU has been a particular target of the Trump administration. And with a back and forth going from 20% tariff when he initially announced the tariffs in April, that jumped to a 50% tariff threat. And then now it's been settled at 30% for August 1st.
Right.
Ursula von der Leyen said that the EU remained ready to continue working towards an agreement by this deadline. However, other leaders, including French President Emmanuel Macron, he was more vocal and he expressed his very strong disapproval.
I see. So that's the EU. Another major U.S. trading partner received a letter over the weekend, right?
Right. So that would be Mexico. To Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, Trump criticized Mexico for not doing enough essentially to stop the flow of drugs over the border.
Yes.
Basically, he said that North America has become, quote, a narco-trafficking playground. And Mexico responded and called this an unfair deal. But for both entities, Trump warned that if they, referring to Mexico and the EU, retaliated with their own tariffs, he will basically add the same amount on top of the 30%.
I see. So there you have it. All the news for this morning. But of course, we'll check in with Haley in hour number 2. So thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
We are ready for our first song break for this Monday morning. So here is 비와 당신 by 이무진.
이젠 당신이 그립지 않죠. 보고 싶은 마음도 없죠. 사랑한 것도 잊혀가네요. 조용하게 알 수 없는 그런 내 맘이 비가 오면 눈물이 나요. 아주 오래전 당신 떠나던 그날처럼
what a great song for this Monday morning. Welcome back, everybody. Text topic time. I want to hear about your responses. I'm going to relay your messages to all the other waivers. Today, our text topic is this. How often do you eat out? 외식 얼만큼 자주 하는지요? 일주일 동안. 그리고 what's your go-to menu? Like whether it's you, your family, or what do you really like and enjoy eating out? There are certain foods 집에서 약간 하기 힘든 음식들 있어요. But it's like it's tough sometimes, right? To decide on what you're gonna have. Well, TJ 태진님 says this. 주말엔 거의 외식해요. 맞아요. I've seen your account. 주말마다 무슨 외식 포토 많이 올려오던데요. 메뉴는 그날 생각나는 대로 아주 다양하게 먹어요. 특히 SNS 보다가 맛있는 게시물 보고 오늘 이거다 하면 먹습니다. So I want to ask all the other waivers out there. Are you affected by what you see on social media? SNS 보고 막 침 흘리세요? Or like, thinking, I'm going to have this today. 이거 너무 맛있게 보인다. Yes, I think with the photo taking skills and the video skills of all, just like everybody out there, everything looks so good. Very, very tempting. And then the whole issue is who decides on what you're going to eat. So some people are saying 어떤 분들은 와이프가 선택해요. I see a lot of that. And then people asking each other basically who gets to decide. So that's definitely a tough choice sometimes. Aren't there times when other people, like different family members or different people in your group want one thing and then you want something else? 그럴 때는 어떻게 선택해요? So that's also a side question. So let me know. And in the meantime, we're going to get to Michael and Cultural Interlude. It's time for Cultural Interlude. We have Michael Kang in the studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was good. It's cooler.
Yes.
I always talk about the weather these days.
Everybody does. It's not just you. You can't, not talk about the weather because it's like been so hot, right?
Exactly. But now I think it's cooling down a bit.
But it's going to get hot after the rain.
I'm not looking forward to that at all. No. I'm just going to live the moment.
Yes, enjoy.
Yeah, carpe diem.
Yes. How about our text topic? How often do you eat out and what do you usually go for?
I eat out pretty often, I think. But when I do, I would go to, pretty much any place that you can't have at home. So like...
Yeah, me too.
Last time I had this tomato nabe.
아, 진짜?
It's like nabe with tomato in it. It's really good. I don't know. It tastes like spaghetti. But it's soup. And so it's like tomato soup.
Okay.
But then they put in the 쌀국수 for you, the rice noodles inside after you eat the...
And it's good?
Oh my goodness. Just the thought of it.
스스로 침?
Yeah. And either that or I would go to a buffet. Yeah. They have those big buffet franchises, and I would go there. And I had this Thai chicken there.
Thai chicken.
Oh my god! I mean, I could talk about this for an hour.
Thai chicken, really?
Thai chicken. Good? It's like spicy but not too spicy. Sweet at the same time. A little salty. So you got every taste in it. And it's like a full dose of joy right there.
월요일 아침부터 너무 힘들고 배고프대요 우리 예지 PD님도요.
너무 배고파요 지금.
네.
Oh man.
지금 7시 42분밖에 안 됐는데 어떻게 해요?
And I just had breakfast. I mean
What did you have for breakfast?
I had the muffin on the way at the coffee shop nearby. Yeah.
Right around the corner? That one?
Yeah, the other one.
The other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the franchise one.
Yeah.
Ooh, food.
I see. Well,
위험해요. Dangerous.
네, 음식 얘기 계속 할 수 있지만 we gotta get into cultural interlude. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, so today is very interesting. We're diving into a story that's been shaking up the European music scene. So, have you heard of this rock band called Velvet Sundown?
I'm not gonna lie. No, I have not.
Okay, Velvet Sundown. They are actually a 4-piece rock band that's been making serious waves lately in Europe, in the European continent.
Okay.
Their breakout track, Dust on the Wind, hit number 1 on Spotify's viral charts in the UK, Norway, and Sweden between June 29th and July 1st.
Oh.
And that's not all. after releasing their debut album, Floating on Echoes, on June 5th, they reached over 1.1 million monthly listeners on Spotify in just a month.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's like amazing. You know, that's some serious momentum for a brand new band.
Yes. So once again, the group's name is Velvet Sundown, apparently sweeping Europe. But there's like a big twist I hear.
Yes.
So what is this twist?
And this is the big twist that's been shaking Europe for a while.
Okay.
It turns out that Velvet Sundown, from the band members to the music itself, is entirely created by AI.
Seriously?
Yeah, it's a virtual band. And no, like, well, most of the people didn't know about it, and they are shocked. Yes.
Okay. That's why it's making such waves right now, right? So once again, entirely created by AI. I don't know. Were people suspicious? Like, how did they find out about this?
So most of them didn't know, but there were a number of fans who had their share of suspicion from the beginning. So, for example, so for a group, like for a rock band with over 500,000 listeners, you would expect to see interviews, right? Interviews, social media activity, maybe even tour announcements.
Right.
But there was nothing. For this band, there was nothing at all.
Yes, big hint.
No information about a record label, no personal Instagram accounts, no public appearances, just the music and a lot of mystery.
So how do you say in Korean, like 신비주의 or whatever?
Yeah,
like all mysterious.
Yeah, something like that. So obviously, this online chatter started to grow, and some sharp-eyed fans noticed the telltale signs of AI-generated images,
such as
like oddly shaped fingers, very typical of an AI-created, image, and off-looking props in their promotional photos. And finally, on July 5th, 2 days after my birthday, the band came clean. What a way to announce my birthday.
Squeeze that in. I like that.
Yeah. So on July 5th, the band came clean.
Yes.
So through their official social media and Spotify profile, they announced Velvet Sundown is a synthetic music project created under human creative direction with AI-generated composition, vocals, and visuals.
Wow. So, what was kind of like the, explanation behind this, or excuse?
So yeah, they said that, so pretty much their excuse was, they didn't mean this to be a deception of some sort, but it was an artistic experiment pushing the boundaries of authorship, identity, and the future of music in the age of AI.
Interesting. Has it hurt the band's popularity? I would conventional wisdom would say probably yes.
Yes. But interestingly, in this case, that did not happen.
Really?
So here's what's wild. So even after this truth came out, the band's popularity didn't fade at all. So as of July 10th, so that's 5 days after they came out, Velvet Sundown had surpassed 1.2 million monthly listeners, and their second album, Paper Sun Rebellion, is already on the way. So they are still ongoing, and their popularity continues to boost.
Wow. So I've said wow like 10 times because it's like, to me, this is like a whole new frontier.
Yes.
It's pretty unbelievable.
For all of us, I think.
Yeah. We've seen AI in almost everything and anything. But does this mean that the era of AI and music, and this is so important because I know there are artists out there that are probably really against this. I mean, is it on the rise though?
Yeah, so I think this is definitely, so this is primarily the talking point that I wanted to share today. So global media outlets are calling this a major turning point.
Yes.
Some say it's the first real sign of AI's full-blown entry into the music industry. So the BBC even noted that cases where a band's members, songs, and visuals are all generated by AI are still extremely rare, and that it's sparking heated debates across the industry.
I'm sure. I mean, this is a major issue. What happens with the copyrights? Because legally, there's a lot of question marks.
Yes, copyright. When it comes to copyrights in the AI industry, things get very blurry. So if you talk about, copyrights and legality, Uploading AI-generated music to streaming platforms, totally allowed.
Yes.
Curators adding them to playlists, also allowed.
Okay.
The only clear violation is using bots, so like an automated like system or program to manipulate play counts. That's the only violation. Everything else, it's a big gray area. So that's where things get tricky because issues like copyright, proper credit, and accountability are all in this legal and ethical limo. So there was this one critic who put it, we've moved past the age of streaming fraud. We're now living in the era of the AI artist.
And I don't know, this isn't just about the music, it seems, because like I just mentioned earlier, AI is like seeping into every like crevice corner of our society.
Definitely. You're right. The debate over how far AI should go in art is showing up everywhere.
Yes.
Take the film world, for example. The critically acclaimed movie, The Brutalist, made headlines after it was revealed that the actors' Hungarian pronunciation in the movie was actually corrected using AI.
Oh.
So the director clarified it was just for pronunciation.
Yes.
But fans were still very, very upset. Suddenly, Adrian Brody's powerful performance felt a little, so to speak, artificial. You know what that means. You know how it feels.
아니, 그러니까 대사는 하긴 했는데, and it was, filmed that way, but they fixed his pronunciation.
Using AI. And that just turned down the whole vibe for the audience. But it's interesting for Velvet Sundown, though. That's the it doesn't seem to be taking any effects at all, right? Despite the come out. But anyways, over in Hollywood, creators push back hard. So new rules now say that AI can only be used as a support tool for writers.
Sure.
And if an actor's face or voice is to be modified using AI, explicit consent is required. In the meantime, creative contests for novels, webtoons, and illustrations are being flooded with AI-generated entries. Some organizers have responded by banning AI use entirely, while others have started hosting AI-only categories. And in gaming, with AI tools becoming widely popular, an operator of a global gaming platform, Stream, began requiring all Steam games to disclose any use of AI as of January 2024.
Yes.
A recent case with Polish studio 11-bit saw major backlash when gamers discovered they used AI in their new title, The Alters, without saying anything. The studio eventually issued an apology and promised future updates would address the concerns.
Yes. And so as we wrap up our segment today, I mean, I think the issue, though, is, in my opinion, of course, is that it's like the disclosure of it. I mean, for example, the band that you just mentioned, they came clean and said, hey, by the way, yes, it's true, we're AI. It's an AI-generated band. So people have full disclosure and they know, and if they choose to listen to AI-generated music, that's one thing. But I don't know if you're being dishonest about it. I think that's where people have a problem.
Yeah, so I think that is the big question. And there is no doubt that technology is expanding the creative playground as well.
Yes.
AI is helping more people access music and art, and it's making space for styles and ideas that never would have been attempted before.
Yes.
So that's one good thing about AI. But just because we can recreate emotion with technology, does that mean we should ignore the context and responsibility behind creation? That's one thing to think about.
Okay.
At the end of the day, art is about authentic connection, which is between the creator and the audience.
Sure.
Using AI isn't the problem, I think. What matters is how it's used, why it's used, and whether we're honest about using it.
Sure.
Because when there's dishonesty in that dialogue, no matter how beautiful the result is, a part of its value will get lost.
Yes, great point that you make. So thank you for bringing this important, story and the context behind it to our waivers, and wishing you a wonderful week ahead.
You too.
Everybody, this was Michael Gang, and I hope you enjoyed our conversation because this is a deep one, and I gotta read this. Layla, 가쁜 본인 생일 끼워 넣으신 뒤태 미남 소미남 씨. Always referring to
July 3rd,
Michael.
everybody.
We'll remember next year for sure. But thank you so much once again. And waivers for you out there. We have our final song for hour number 1. This is Let's Groove by Earth, Wind and Fire.
Let's groove tonight. Share the spice of life. And it's like tonight. We're gonna groove tonight. Let's groove. Get you to move. It's alright, alright, alright. Let us groove. Set in your shoes. So stand up. Gonna tell you what you can do with my love. Alright. Let you know, girl, you're looking good. You're out of sight. Alright, just move yourself and you glide like a 747 and you lose yourself in the sky among the clouds in your heaven cause. Let this groove, light up the fuse, it's alright, alright, alright. Let this groove, set in the shoes, so stand up, alright, alright. Let me tell you what you can do with my love. Alright. Gotta let you know, girl, you're looking good, you're outside. Alright, just tell the DJ to play your favorite tune, then you know it's okay. What you found is happening now. Let this go, get you to move, it's alright, alright, alright. Yeah. Let this go, say in your shoes, so stand up, alright, alright. You find peace of mind on the floor, take a little time, come and see, groove me, give a little sign. I'll be there after a while if you want my love. We can boogie.
Your bridge to the world.
모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전. 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
쉽지 않은 오늘이지만 가게 문을 열고 새로운 길을 찾고 더 나은 내일을 준비하는 사람들이 있습니다. 청년, 소상공인, 중소기업. 이 도시를 움직이는 지역 경제의 주체입니다. 작은 아이디어 하나가 골목을 바꾸고 햇살 아래 땀방울이 지역 경제를 다시 일으킵니다. 청년, 소상공인, 중소기업. 경제의 중심은 바로 당신입니다. 이 캠페인은 부산 경제의 미래를 준비하는 종합 지원 플랫폼 부산경제진흥원이 함께합니다.
Welcome to Busan. Let me show you around. Here you can find the world's largest musical in-ground fountain, and the world's only UN Memorial Cemetery. Stroll along the coast and explore the largest mountain fortress in Korea. As well as all this, there are so many tourist attractions, beautiful exhibitions, vibrant culture, convenient facilities, and delicious foods unique to Busan. With all the beauty and charm of the amazing city of Busan, you'll find yourself right at home in this ever-changing tourism paradise. So stay with us a while. Busan, your #1 tourist destination. Your home, away from home. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, Busan 영어 방송.
My school, my story. School reporters are bringing you the latest news from their campus. From April to December, the school reporters will cover all the exciting moments of school life, bringing you student voices, campus news, and special interviews. Catch the broadcast every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Don't miss the chance to hear our student stories on the School Reporters broadcast.
The time is now 8 o'clock.
It's now 8 o'clock. This is hour number 2 of Morning Wave in Busan. We're going to begin with Spotlight News. Special counsel summons ex-president Yoon for questioning today. The special counsel, led by Cho Eun-suk, said that it has summoned former President Yoon Suk-yeol to appear for questioning today after he didn't appear for a session last Friday, adding it may consider bringing him in by force if he fails to comply. Yoon, who was in custody at the Seoul Detention Center, cited health reasons. But the special counsel said it has confirmed that Yoon exhibited no serious health issues. In the meantime, key witnesses in the special counsel investigations against the former president have reportedly begun to give statements against Yoon, including the former deputy chief of the Presidential Security Service and the former deputy chief at the National Security Council. President Lee Jae-myung appoints 5 vice ministers and special envoys. President Lee Jae-myung yesterday appointed 5 vice ministers, 7 vice minister level officials, and 4 special envoys to the European Union, France, the UK, and India, who will carry the president's letters and convey the new administration's policies to the respective entities. The presidential office announced that the former chief of the Office of High Education Policy at the Education Ministry, Choi Eun-ok, has been appointed vice education minister, and Gu Hyuk-jae, head of the Office of Planning and Coordination, as the first vice minister of science. As for special envoys, former Environment Minister Yoon Yeol-jun will lead the delegation to the EU departing today, former Justice Minister Kang Kim-sil to France, Democratic Party lawmaker Chu Mi-ae to head the delegation to the UK, and former Prime Minister Kim Boo-kyum will head to India later this week. North Korea reaffirmed support for Russia in war against Ukraine. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has reaffirmed his unconditional support for Russia in the Ukraine war during his meeting with the Russian foreign minister, as the country is continuing to provide ammunition to Russia. Kim met with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Saturday for round 2 of strategic talks, according to the North State media. The two also agreed that the West's increased military activities have heightened tensions over the Korean peninsula. In the meantime, the South Korean military intelligence authorities confirmed that Pyongyang is believed to have provided about 28,000 containers containing weapons and artillery shells to date. Ulsan's petroglyphs in North Korea's Mount Kumgang receives UNESCO designation. The prehistoric rock carvings, or petroglyphs in Ulsan have been officially put on the UNESCO World Heritage List, along with North Korea's famous Mount Kumgang, during the 47th World Heritage Committee meeting in Paris over the weekend. The petroglyphs along the Pangucheon stream were recognized for their outstanding cultural value, depicting hunting scenes and animals. Mount Kumgang has been recognized for its unique geography, scenery, and Buddhist history and tradition. The decision follows a recommendation from the International Council on Monuments and Sites back in May. Gaza officials say children killed as Israeli military admits error. 10 people, including 6 children, were killed in an Israel airstrike while waiting for water in Gaza, according to local officials, with Israel admitting a technical error with the strike. The Israeli military said the strike was targeting an Islamist jihad terrorist and that it is reviewing the incident. The strike comes as Israel has been ramping up aerial attacks across Gaza, including hundreds dead while waiting to receive aid. And this was Spotlight News. It's time for Waggle, which means Haley's back.
I'm here to waggle.
That's right. The first waggling we're going to do is regarding confirmation hearing season, which is, right now for the new government's cabinet. However, one nominee is under fire for alleged abuse of power, correct?
Right. So nothing gets tongues more waggling than politics and allegations of 갑질, abuse of power.
Yes.
So we're talking about gender equality and Family Minister nominee, Democratic Party lawmaker Kang Sun-woo.
Yes.
She's been facing allegations of 갑질, abuse of power, against her aide or aides, and also allegedly having the aides take care of her various household tasks, which they're not personal assistants, obviously. So she has denied these allegations. However, evidence is emerging saying otherwise. So first, let's get to the allegations. I'm citing an SBS report which interviewed a former aide of Kang who claimed that Kang had this aide allegedly fix her home toilet. Right. So Kang said she never had the aide fix the toilet, only told this aide that the bathroom was flooded because the toilet was leaking water.
Okay.
And that the aide simply called the management office. However, according to the conversation that's been released by SBS, in this dialogue that was released, Kang actually says, quote, "I have a favor. Can you take a look at my home toilet? It's leaking a lot." And then later the aide responds, "It's done," and Kang says, "Okay." So there's a lot left to be deciphered.
Yes.
Another set of allegations involve her allegedly having asked a different aide to throw away the trash from her home. She denies it, but again, reports confirm that someone has lodged a petition against the Democratic Party's Parliamentary Aids Organization during the previous 21st National Assembly. And the same allegations were raised via a social media page for the Parliamentary Aids.
I see.
We, of course, don't know if it's the specific one, but just around the timing, the type of allegations involving the home trash.
Yes.
And apparently, according to the report, the lawmaker tried to find out who this was. So, workers' rights group 갑질 119 released a statement previously opposing her appointment to the ministerial post, saying that someone facing these 갑질 accusations should not be appointed minister, specifically one whose position would involve a duty to protect those who are socially vulnerable or marginalized and expand the values of gender equality and human rights.
And the thing is that there are also other allegations.
Right. So the ones that I've covered so far are more anecdotal. It's kind of a he said, she said situation. But here are also some numbers.
Okay.
In the 5 years she has worked as a National Assembly representative, Kang has hired 51 aides and dismissed 46. So that's in the records. Well, the National Assembly Secretariat explained that there could be some duplicate people. However, Kang has said that she will explain these allegations during our confirmation hearing, which is scheduled for today.
Okay.
And as you mentioned, this is the beginnings of a confirmation super week involving 16 nominees. Already, the parties have been firing at all cylinders, with the opposition People Power Party saying that they're not going to let everyone pass through. The Democratic Party, DP, on a full-out defense mode for the nominees. And I believe we'll have Claire in to cover the details of this so-called super week.
Yes, yes. All right, we're going to switch gears. Up next, for those of you planning trips abroad, please be aware that there have been problems with sites that claim to take care of what you call the ETA or the ESTA, the ESTA for you.
Right. So the ETA stands for the Electronic Travel Authorization. ESTA or ESTA, sometimes it's called in Korea, Electronic System for Travel Authorizations. They're basically systems that allow visa exemptions for travelers to enter a particular country.
Right.
The ETA is used for countries like Canada and the UK, the ESTA or ESTA for the United States. But in the last 6 months here in South Korea, there's been almost five-fold, which means 5 times increase in claims lodged to the Korea Consumer Agency over potentially fraudulent or at least problematic ESTA and ETAs.
Well, did they not get their authorizations?
Right. So to be very clear, it wasn't with the particular government, Canadian, British, American government official sites, but through these proxy or agencies that supposedly do these services for you. So in Korean, 해외 대행사이트 문제가 있었습니다. So all the claims, once again, were for these agencies and proxy sites. Most of them, if you look up, so I did that, I looked up like Canada, ETA, US, ESTA. And the thing is, on the world's biggest search engine, the top result you see is actually not the official American government site. It's the sponsored links, but really who looks at it?
You got to be careful.
You have to be really, really careful. So these are the proxy sites. And you actually have to scroll down to look at the actual official government website.
Yes.
But the thing is, these proxy sites have very similar site names and even logos.
Oh, I agree. For any of these proxies, very, very tricky. What kind of damages were claimed, though?
First, the money. All right, so with the US ESTA, the official fee, if you go through I believe it's the Department of Homeland Security. It's $21. So it's about, well, depending on the currency rate, 25,000원-ish, let's say.
Right.
But the sites, one of them charged $195.
Whoa. So
it's like over 20만 원, up by almost 9 times. In Canada, the ETA is 9 Canadian dollars. One of the non-official sites charge $95. So if it's too expensive, it's not the official site. Also, there are actual problems with getting these authorizations, where 6 out of the 38 cases of complaints lodged full out didn't get the authorizations. And in these cases, because the servers are overseas, people are having trouble getting refunds because they've just severed all contact.
Wow.
So according to the Korea Consumer Agencies, for most countries that have ETAs or ESTAs, with the exception of Canada, the URL will end in .gov.gov or .ca in Canada's case, and not .com. So look at the address.
Right. Be very careful. All right, we're going to move on. There are a lot of public pools across the country that are open right now, especially at places like parks. But a fatal accident happened at a swimming pool by the Hangang River, right?
Right. So this is quite a tragedy. It's been reported that last month, a 20-month-old baby died at a swimming pool in Tuksam in Seoul.
Yes.
So this is according to Seoul's Gwangjin police, saying that a 20-month-old baby fell into the adults-only pool at the site on June 27th at around 6:40 p.m.
Yes.
The parents, they noticed that the child had gone missing and started looking, but he was found in that pool in a state of cardiac arrest. The parents said the last time they saw their child, the son was playing with the ball, and I mean, this we don't want to blame, but they had briefly left that site to go to their tent and grab something when the accident happened. Accidents happen in the blink of an eye. So the nurse on site administered CPR and took him to the hospital, but he didn't make it.
Right, and the thing is, apparently there were no lifeguards on duty.
Right, so it's kind of a problem upon problem. According to the police, there were no lifeguards on duty, nor CCTVs that were pointing directly to that pool. So the pool, though, was closed off at the time of the accident because the swimming pool in general, they were preparing for their night opening. So it seems that we don't know yet whether there are just no lifeguards on site, period, or because it was technically off hours.
Yes.
The pool in question was 1 meter deep, and children were not allowed to enter unless they were with their parent or guardian. So this is a facility that's owned by Seoul City, but it's operated by a private company, and the police are investigating the case.
Once again, a terrible tragedy, but also a reminder to keep a close eye on your little ones. Even for a brief second, they can get away from you. And tragedies do happen.
Right.
All right, for a final story, the hot new global vacay destination is this true? North Korea?
Well, I mean, I don't know how many people are going, but it's there. Right. So, but right now it's only for Russian tourists so far, but it's definitely getting a lot of global attention.
Okay.
So the BBC reported that the Wonsan Galma Beach Resort welcomed its first group of tourists last week. The resort opened last month. There was this huge high-profile ceremony heralded by Chairman Kim Jong-un as, quote, a world-class tourist and cultural destination. So this actually has a long history going back to 2018, which is when construction began, but it was delayed severely by the COVID pandemic and subsequent economic issues.
Sure.
But apparently, Chairman Kim had sent a delegation of high-ranking officials to Spain, the Benidorm resort, to take notes, and apparently it has striking similarities. So North Korean brochure with the map shows the resort having 43 hotels on the beachfront, as well as guest houses on an artificial lake, camping site, and that's been confirmed via satellite imagery. So it is luxury.
Yes.
But construction resumed after the meeting between Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin. That happened in June of last year, where Putin also promised to encourage his citizens to visit the resort.
But apparently the site, it has come at high human costs.
Right, because let's look at the numbers. 43 hotels, an artificial lake, camping sites. Construction resumed in June of last year, and they've recently opened. Can you realistically build 43 hotels in the span of a year without human rights cost? Probably not. So this issue was raised by the United Nations Human Rights Office and also defectors familiar with the situation interviewed by the BBC. Because construction had to be completed in such a rapid pace, it raised concerns for workers' treatments, including what are called shock brigades, which basically involves you working a 24-hour shift until you're done, no matter at what cost. And this involves people simply dying. One defector who was involved in one of these shock brigades, although not at the particular hotel, said that the principle is you get the job done no matter what. And others with knowledge into the matter say that the residents who had previously lived here were kicked out without any compensations. In terms of the visitors, the cost, $1,800 US, which is a week-long trip to North Korea, including 3-day stay at this resort. So North Korea is aiming to bring in 1 million visitors every year. But of course, with the political situation, visa issues, mostly Russian at this point, and Chinese tourists are the targets.
Well, thank you for going over all the wildest stories for this Monday morning, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
All right, now it's time for your traffic and weather. It's now 8:17. Here's your traffic update. An accident is being reported on Pomillo at right at the Hyundai department store intersection going towards Pomnikor intersection. It's backed up on Nakdong-Namno from Gangsa Police Station to Seongsan three-way intersection. It's congested on Mandakdero from Mandak Tunnel number 2 to Mandak intersection. Also backed up on Dongso overpass from Bunhyun ramp to Jinyang Bangum tunnel. Tunnel. Currently, it's 22 degrees Celsius here in Busan under cloudy skies. It's going to go up to 31. There is a chance of rain in the afternoon once again. Across the country, cloudy with heavy rain forecast for parts of Gangwon, including thunder and lightning. Although the rain has cooled the temperatures down a bit, after all the rain ceases, it means the heat will come back with added humidity. This was your traffic and weather. This is your special interview on this Monday morning. Approximately 28,500 U.S. service members are stationed here in South Korea, serving as a key deterrent against nuclear-armed North Korea. And under the 12th Special Measures Agreement the SMA signed last year, Seoul is set to contribute 1.52 trillion won. That's the equivalent of approximately $1.11 billion towards shared defense costs in 2025, and that is up from 1.4 trillion won this year. So that's the backdrop. However, U.S. President Donald Trump has reignited controversy by claiming that South Korea pays, in his words, very little for U.S. military protection, arguing that Seoul should now take full responsibility for its own defense. So let's find out more about this issue. We have invited back Professor Robert Kelly, professor in the Department of Political Science at Busan National University. Hi, Professor. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes. So first, if you can explain to us how exactly the defense spending works between the ROK and the U.S.
So the big issue is what they call the Special Measures Agreement. One of these is struck every few years, around sort of 4 or 5, although it kind of depends. They can be shifted around a bit. And over the years, South Korea has kicked in more and more to pay for support for the U.S. structure here, right? The U.S. has bases sort of all over the place, particularly really, I think, 3 big ones, right? Camp Humphreys, Osan Air Base, and Kwonsan Air Base, right? But there are other small ones too. So where I am here in Busan, there is a naval station down at the port, the Command U.S. Naval Forces Korea. And so all of this requires upkeep, right? You got to find places for the people to live, the sailors. So I know some of these guys down here at the port, they got to have a place to live that's going to be paid for. They're middle-class guys and stuff like that. They don't know the way around Korea. You got to pay for, things like garbage pickup, and somebody's got to fix the lamps when the electricity breaks. It's a lot of that. And so there's been this running debate between the U.S. and South Korea over the years about how to pay for that. And generally the way it's worked is that as South Korea has gotten wealthier, its share of the burden has gone up. Now that South Korea is basically a wealthy state with high GDP per capita, the question is just how much should South Korea pay? Is there some kind of equitable arrangement, right? Should it be sort of 50-50, which kind of implies that both sides are getting something here? Or as Trump would argue, are the South Koreans getting the big benefit of the relationship because if we left, it wouldn't affect us very much, right? And so maybe you should pay more. And I think that's really where we are. And Trump, of course, is turned this into a huge issue because he wanted the number, I think, quadrupled or something like that, overnight. And so, yeah, that's where we are.
So in terms of the South Korean government, how has this government been allocating its defense budget in recent years? I mean, are there key areas where the spending has increased significantly at all?
So South Korea is primarily, I would argue South Korea is primarily a land power. That's kind of strange, you would think, actually, because South Korea is surrounded on 3 sides by water.
Right.
And the DMZ is basically impenetrable, but actually South Korea is primarily a land power. And the reason for that is because North Korea basically drafts, conscribes everybody, including women, right? The entire country is really, really heavily militarized. I've been in North Korea, and you can see the militarization just everywhere.
Yes.
And so South Korea has to respond in kind, which is why all of your young men are drafted, right? Everyone's conscribed, and so this means that the army sucks up an enormous amount of the resources. And so this has resulted in some kinds of issues about whether or not South Korea should build an aircraft carrier. The South Korean Navy wanted that, but that was turned down because the legislature said it was too expensive, right? Again, sort of the army kind of dominates these discussions. And then I would argue sort of the Air Force is kind of number 2 here, and that's probably because of the expansion of the use of drones. And so traditionally the expectation is, in terms of a major conflict, that South Korea would do a lot of the land fighting, and then the U.S. would provide a lot of the naval and the air. The problem with the naval and the air, of course, is that stuff is really expensive. Those are big, expensive, large platforms. Or aircraft carriers or gigantic F-35s cost a lot of money, right? And so that's really where the burdens are. That and all the logistical arrangements, sort of like moving people through and radar and planning and intelligence. All that is massively expensive, but I think a lot of people here don't actually see that. They don't see the tail, if you will, behind the deployment of U.S. forces here.
Yes. And when President Trump says that he thinks Korea has to pay its own defense budget in the context of this, of course, alliance, is he only talking about the stationing of the 28,500 U.S. Troops or service people, or is he also referring to OPCON, the operational command of the defense here in Korea?
Right. So OPCON's kind of tricky, right? I think the Americans don't really push the OPCON issue much.
Okay.
Right. I mean, the only major actor that really pushes that is the South Korean progressives. Right. To the South Korean left, OPCON has become sort of this big thing about like South Korean sovereignty. Right. The U.S. is kind of agnostic on this issue. I think we're kind of mildly opposed to it. The South Korean right, conservatives in South Korea, are really opposed to OPCON transfer because they think it's sort of like another step to let the U.S. out altogether. And that's kind of an internal Korean debate.
Okay.
But my sense is that Trump people are kind of agnostic on that. I do think that Trump people, generally speaking, want to do less here in Korea because they're more concerned about China. And the argument is that South Korea is very wealthy and it can take care of North Korea on its own. I think that's broadly accurate, by the way. And so I think if this government pushes hard for OPCON, they'll get it from the Trump people. Previous American governments are kind of wary about OPCON. South Korean military is kind of wary about OPCON because what they're concerned about is that the U.S. starts to sort of like retrench. This sort of like opens up all kinds of logistical and munitions gaps and stuff like that in South Korea. Supposedly, OPCON is supposed to be done on a conditions-based premise. That agreement was struck, I think, under Park Geun-hye. And the South Korean military, MON 국방부, has said repeatedly that South Korea doesn't meet those conditions. U.S. FK has said that too. So it's a little tangly, right? And militarily, it looks like OPCON might not be a great idea, but the politics of it aren't great, right? It kind of looks neo-imperial, and like I said, South Korean progressives tend to see it that way as kind of like a restoration of national sovereignty.
I see. And so when we talk about the U.S. troops being stationed here, at least from what President Trump says or he alludes to, it's for the benefit of only South Korea. But technically speaking, with the troops stationed here, even with U.S. intel on South Korean soil, does not the U.S. benefit at all, even if in terms of its watchful eye on China in the Indo-Pacific and even with troops stationed in Japan as well?
Yes, that's the usual argument that you hear from Koreans. The problem with that argument, to be honest, is that a substantial chunk of South Koreans don't want to come with the United States on China, right? South Korean basing for the U.S. vis-a-vis China is only really valuable if South Korea actually wants to come with us on a conflict, a potential conflict with China, particularly over Taiwan in the future. And this government has been very, very wary about this. The current president actually said about a year ago, this actually approached a lot of controversy in the United States. He actually said that if there's a conflict over Taiwan, that South Korea shouldn't get involved. And so if South Koreans are going to make the argument that U.S. basing here serves larger American strategic needs in East Asia, then South Korea needs to participate in those needs. And again, this is where something I think you really see the sort of split between right and left in South Korea. South Korean conservatives accepted that argument. Yoon Suk-yeol was willing to go with the United States, willing to cooperate with Japan and China, Australia, and the U.S. on China. And South Korean progressives just don't want to do that, right? This is something I'm writing that South Korea is almost kind of like two separate countries when it comes to foreign policy because South Korean progressives and conservatives have really, really different interpretations. And so now that has become a real issue because you now have a progressive government, right? If the progressive government doesn't want to come with the U.S. and China and Australia and so on China, then the argument for U.S. basing here is strictly about North Korea. And the problem with that argument is that you don't really need us anymore to contain North Korea. You guys are very wealthy. You could double your defense budget and you could do a lot more on your own. And so I think I've actually argued this in my writing, that this is actually South Korea's big strategic choice in the next 10 years. To go it alone, in which case the United States might leave, and maybe you build nuclear weapons, or do you want to come with the U.S. on China and keep the U.S. security alignment, which is very good for you, but that includes the risk of conflict with China. And I'm just not sure how South Korea wants to just go. I just don't know what opinion here will support.
I see. And so in terms of the potential consequences, if the U.S. demands significantly more from South Korea, not incrementally, but as U.S. President Trump wants, a big, increase basically now, what do you think the consequences would be?
To be honest, I think you guys could probably pay for it. I mean, you're wealthy. And when I've been asked about this, my general advice is just give Trump enough money to keep him happy so he can go on Twitter and say it was a big victory for America and America first and whatever, and then he'll go away. Right? If you don't pay him and you provoke a crisis with him, it's just not clear what Donald Trump was going to do because Donald Trump just doesn't care about U.S. allies the way previous American presidents have. He's not Joe Biden. He's not Obama. And so I think the big problem here locally with coughing up more money for the Americans is not the cash itself. You're very wealthy. You guys have the money. That's not really the issue. The real issue is the perception of public humiliation, right? That Donald Trump is suborning you, that Donald Trump is talking down to you, that he's bullying you. And of course, that's exactly what Trump wants, right? Trump loves this impression of dominance and sort of he's the alpha male who demands and gets things from weaker partners and stuff like that, right? That's how he treats Canada and Mexico and other U.S. allies. And so I think that is actually it's the politics, it's the optics of it that are much worse than South Korea finding another $1 billion. I mean, South Korea's GDP is $2.7 trillion. You guys have another $1 billion. $1 billion isn't actually that, I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, but for a wealthy country like South Korea, $1 billion isn't actually that money. It's not that much money. It's a lot of money for people like you and me, but for countries, it's actually not that much. So you guys could afford it. It's really the politics of it, I think, that it's the optics, the perceptual problem.
I see. Well, we're going to have to call it a wrap on our interview for today, but thank you so much for providing your insight and opinion regarding this very hot matter. Thanks for coming on with us, Professor Kelly.
Thanks for having me again.
This was Professor Robert Kelly, and we talked about the whole issue of South Korea's self-defense costs. And so we'll see where this goes because, of course, this is an ongoing issue. We're going to take a song break, and this is Dinosaur by Angmyu.
나의 옛날 동네 옛날 동네 반자빌라엔 내 가족 오순도순 잘 살고 있었네
화장실 문 밑엔 지갑하는 구멍이 매일 밤 뒤척거리시던 아버지 No problem 난 아무것도 몰랐거든 아직도 그때가 생생해 무서울게 없었던 어리기만 한 나를 벌쩍 뛰게 하는 벌쩍 뛰게 하는 벌쩍 뛰게 하는 Dinosaur
함께겠네 내 가족이 다 같이 따스한 이부자리 두 발로 또 찾지
엄마는 날 안아줘 내 목 감추는 울먹임 TV 보며 진정하라 하셨지 깜빡깜빡거리네 까만 방이 번쩍거리네 아직도 그 꿈이 생생해 무서울게 없었던 어리기만 한 나를 다시 만나면 그땐 너보다 더 크게 소리 지를래 더 크게 소리 지를래 더 크게 소리 지를래 더 크게 소리 지를래
Welcome back, everybody. I have a public service announcement for you from the Ministry of the Interior and Safety. As the heat wave continues, the risk of water-related accidents is increasing. When enjoying water activities at beaches, coastal areas, rivers, valleys, and other locations, please make sure to follow basic safety precautions. Always wear a life jacket. Children must be accompanied by a guardian. Do not swim under the influence of alcohol. Evacuate immediately in case of heavy rain. And if an accident occurs, alert those around you and call 119 right away. Also, schools and households are advised to educate students or children in advance on how to stay safe during water activities. And as you heard during our news segment, when there's a tragedy, it is irreversible. So please, let's be careful out there during the summer season. And I do want to read just a few more of your messages. A lot of people talking more about like who gets to choose the menu. I think that's a hot topic among the waivers right now, and saying that it's always tough when there are multiple family members or multiple friends when you go out to eat out together. Like, who gets to decide? For our family, we always vote. We do it in a very democratic way. Luckily, there are 5 members in our family. So usually, if we're split into 2, there's always someone who has to play the tiebreaker role. So that's how we usually do it. And it is so expensive eating out these days or even having food delivered to the home. So I know a lot of families are choosing to eat in and, have home-cooked meals. But, the cost of even raw ingredients, it has gone up. So it's a tough choice. Anyhow, we're going to get to Claire and News in Depth. It's time for News in Depth. We have Claire here. Good morning.
Good morning.
How was your weekend?
It was great.
Good.
Not too hot.
Yes, that's true because of the rain cooling things down. So I want to ask you about our text topic. Do you have a favorite go-to dish or restaurant when you're eating out? And how often do you eat out?
Actually, these days I eat out quite often. Like 3 times, 4 times.
A week?
Yes.
Okay. I was going to say not 3 times a day, right?
Not a day.
Okay.
Not
Per
3
week?
meals. Yes. But these days, because of the weather, mostly myeon, like 밀면, cold noodles.
So good. Do you like the 물 or do you like the
I'm a
비빔?
물. 감경물.
I'm always a 물 too. Well, thanks for sharing. We're going to get into News in Depth. So the first story, we're going to talk about politics because today marks the beginning of a big week in Korean politics. People are calling it like confirmation hearing super week, right?
That's right. From today, July 14th through 18th, the National Assembly is holding confirmation hearings for all 16 of President Lee Jae-myung's first cabinet nominees. It's the first full round of ministerial vetting since the new administration took office in June, and both the ruling Democratic Party and the opposition People Power Party are treating it as a decisive battleground.
Yes, and as you said, it kicks off today, correct?
Exactly. 4 hearings are scheduled for today, July 14th. The nominees are Bae Kyung-hoon for Minister of Science Science and ICT, Chun Jae-soo for Minister of Oceans and Fisheries, Chung Dong-young for Minister of Unification, and Kang Seon-woo for Minister of Gender Equality and Family. Now, Haley already covered the Kang Seon-woo controversy earlier in the program, so we won't go into detail here. But suffice to say, this nomination is drawing significant scrutiny from the opposition.
Right, but we do want to learn about the others. So can you tell us?
Yes, Chun Jae-soo is a former National Assembly member from Busan. He is expected to face questions about how he'll approach maritime policy, especially in the context of climate adaptation and offshore industry development. For Baek Young-hoon, lawmakers are expected to focus on tech governance, artificial intelligence, regulation, and Korea's position in the global semiconductor race. As for Chung Dong-young, there are murmurs of a potential violation of a Farmland Act, which could become a flashpoint in his hearing.
So that's what we can expect. So what is coming up next, though?
So there are quite a lot. Here's the rest of the week's schedule.
Okay.
Tomorrow to Tuesday, July 15th, Kwon Oh-eul, Minister of Patriots and Veterans Affairs, Han Sung-suk, Minister of SMEs and Startups, Kim Sung-hwan, Minister of Environment, An Gyu-baek, Minister of National Defense, Im Kwang-hyun, National Tax Service Commissioner nominee.
I see.
And Wednesday, July 16th, there are Chung Sung-ho, Minister of Justice, Kim Young-hoon, Minister of Employment and Labor, and Lee Jin-suk, Minister of Education.
Okay.
And Thursday, July 17th, Cho Hyun, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kim Jong-kwan, Minister of Trade, Industry and Energy, Gu Yun-chul, from Minister of Economy and Finance. And lastly, Friday, July 18th, Yoon Ho-jung, Minister of the Interior and Safety. And Chung Eun-kyung, Minister of Health and Welfare.
Wow, so that is definitely a packed schedule as you relate to our listeners. So where is the opposition focusing its firepower?
Well, obviously, the People Power Party is ramping up criticism on several fronts. One of their top targets is Lee Jin-suk, the Education Minister nominee, who's facing allegations of academic misconduct, including plagiarism and claims that she improperly took credit for her students' research papers. These allegations strike at the core of educational ethics and have sparked strong reactions from educators' unions and student groups.
And so who else are they targeting?
So they're also targeting Chung Dong-young over possible violations of farmland regulations and Yoon Ho-jung for a past drunk driving conviction. The opposition has laid out what they call the 7 disqualification standards, which include plagiarism, corruption, abuse of power, criminal history, illegal real estate holdings, preferential hiring, and moral unfitness.
I see. So have they formally called for people to step aside yet?
Not yet, but the political rhetoric is escalating. A spokesperson from the People Power Party said they'll be using public opinion to apply maximum pressure, especially if the administration proceeds with appointments despite controversy. They've also launched a so-called citizens vetting panel to highlight alleged red flags that they say the ruling party is ignoring.
Once again, that is the opposition party. But what about the ruling Democratic Party's stance?
So Democratic Party has adopted a firm defensive posture. They argue that no decisive blow has emerged from any of the controversies thus far. They're emphasizing that candidates should be judged on their ability to perform the role, especially with Korea facing tough economic and geopolitical challenges. The party leadership has also indicated that both Kang and Lee will be able to adequately explain themselves during their hearings.
I see. But I hear that there's some disagreement about the confirmation hearing process itself.
Yes, the Democratic Party is pushing to revise the Confirmation Hearing Act, proposing that background checks and personal ethics evaluations be conducted in closed-door sessions. With only policy-related questioning held in public, they argued this would protect nominees from media-driven character assassinations. But the opposition says it's just a ploy to shield unqualified candidates candidates from public scrutiny.
Right. So it's a battle over both like the people themselves and the process once again.
That's exactly right. The hearings are more than just vetting candidates. They're a power struggle over who sets the tone for the Lee Jae-myung administration's early months. If several nominees are rejected or forced to step aside, it could stall policy rollout and weaken the government's mandate.
Yes.
But if most pass, it's a signal of early strength.
Well, any inside buzz about what to be on the watch out for this week?
Expect surprises. Lawmakers often wait until live sessions to unveil new information. And we'll be watching public opinion closely. It played a big role in past confirmation battles, and it could again.
Well, thank you so much for going over this comprehensive report about, what is shaping up to be, once again, a politically charged Super Week here in Korea. All right, we're going to shift from politics to something a little bit more practical, public benefits. So, Claire, the government is launching a new service today that could make life easier for many people, correct?
Yes, that's right. Starting today, July 14th, the Ministry of the Interior and Safety is officially rolling out a coupon notification service through the National Secretary app known as 국민비서 in Korean.
Yes.
This service is designed to alert people when they're eligible to receive 민생회복 소비쿠폰 or livelihood recovery consumption coupons and guide them through how to actually claim them.
Right. So let's go through the process. How does this work?
Well, it's relatively simple and fully mobile.
Okay.
Anyone can sign up for notification via 17 partner platforms, including major apps like KakaoTalk, Naver app, etc. Or they can go directly to the official National Secretary website. Once enrolled, users can opt into the service titled Livelihood Recovery Consumption Coupon, 민생회복 Coupon Guide. From there, the system sends personalized alerts based on your eligibility.
Okay.
These notifications will include the exact amount of support you qualify for, the application timeline and method, how long you can use the coupon, and lastly, even any adjustments to your payment in case you file a dispute or update your status.
It sounds incredibly helpful, but just getting the alert doesn't mean you automatically receive the money. So I want to clarify that.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
The government is being very clear about that. The National Secretary will tell you when you're eligible, but you still have to take action. You'll need to apply separately, either through your card company's app or website, at a linked bank branch, or at your local community center. So it's a two-step process. Notification first, then application.
Okay, got it. And this is all tied to those consumer coupons that we've been hearing about, right?
Yes, these coupons are part of the government's broader economic recovery plan, especially aimed at helping low and middle income households regain purchasing power after months of inflation and stagnation.
Right.
They work like cashbacks. So users who spend a certain amount using registered cards get some of it reimbursed. The exact reimbursement rate and cap depend on your income level and spending category.
And are there any incentives to encourage people to use this service?
Oh, there is actually a limited time promotion to encourage new users. From today through July 31st, anyone who signs up for the National Secretary service for the first time will be entered into a draw.
Okay.
500 winners will receive a free beverage coupon, likely through a convenience store or coffee chain partnership.
I see. Anything else we should be aware of?
The key thing is awareness and clarity. One concern is in the past has been that people miss out on these benefits because they either didn't know about them or didn't understand the process.
Yes.
The government hopes this service will fill the gap and in turn stimulate more local consumption. The alerts are tailored so people will know what applies to them without digging through complicated guidelines.
All right. Thanks for giving us a comprehensive review of what we should be on the lookout for. Let's finish with something a little historic. I mean, this is literally, and I did mention this during news, but Korea has officially now a new UNESCO World Heritage Site, right?
Yes, as of July 12th, Korea's Bangucheon petroglyphs Amgakwa, located in Ulsan, have officially been added to the UNESCO World Heritage List.
Yes.
This is a huge cultural moment. It marks Korea's 17th UNESCO World Heritage designation, and it highlights some of the oldest known art in the region,
Yes.
if not the world.
Yes, and so this is really, really amazing news. But we want details. What exactly are the Bangucheon petroglyphs or Amgakwa?
The term actually refers to two neighboring rock art sites along the Bangucheon, the Daegongri Bangudae petroglyphs and the Cheonjeonri inscription and rock carvings, which is Myeongmun과 Amgakwa.
Okay.
These carvings date back over 6,000 years, and they showcase a continuous artistic tradition stretching from prehistory through the Silla dynasty.
Wow.
The Bangudae carvings are especially famous for their depictions of whales, including whale hunting scenes. And that's what makes them so rare. The Daegongri site is 4.5 meters high and 8 meters wide, etched with detailed illustration of whales, tigers, deer, turtles, and human in boats.
Yes, and the fact that it is, 6,000 years of history is
prehistory.
Pretty, yes. So is this the only one of its kind? Or?
It's certainly one of the most unique in the world.
Okay.
UNESCO called it an unparalleled example of ancient marine hunting culture, praising both the artistic detail and the narrative storytelling shown in the carvings. This designation took 15 years. It was first added to Korea's tentative list in 2010,
Yes.
and only now has it officially made the list.
Right, so what about the second site?
So the Cheonjeonri petroglyphs, located about 2 kilometers away, offer a completely different glimpse. These show life under the Silla Kingdom with geometric patterns, equestrian figures, and over 620 illustrations, including inscriptions.
Yes. And so, of course, very important for South Korea. But in related news, I hear that, North Korea's Mount Kumgang was also added to the UNESCO World Heritage List this week, right?
Yes, North Korea's Mount Kumgang was also added to the UNESCO World Heritage List this week, recognized as a cultural landscape rich in Buddhist tradition and scenic beauty, making it the country's third World Heritage Site.
Yes. So great news for the Korean Peninsula, but in particular, of course, for very locally, these petroglyphs.
Really
so
has.
Amazing. We're going to call it a day for a segment today, but thank you so much for coming in. We'll check in with you next week, Claire.
Not a problem. See you next week.
All right, everybody. This was News in Depth with our newscaster, Claire. If you can believe already, though, it's time to say goodbye almost for this Monday morning. Remember that we might have some rain later on if you're in Busan later on in the afternoon. Right now, taking a little peek out my window, at least in Santum City, it looks like the rain has subsided. But once again, later on, you might need your umbrella. Keep it handy. And let's take the time to be extra careful as we head out. As always, there's traffic on Monday. Well, final song for today is 조조 할인 by 이문세. So wishing you all a beautiful Monday. Bye, everybody.
아직도 생각나